Did you know that some of the more ridiculous things in Demon Slayer actually exist in real life? For example, number 6 on our list will really blow your mind. So, here are 15 things from Demon Slayer that actually exist in real life. It's set in the Taisho period of Japan's history. It would be difficult to find another anime based on Japanese history that's as big and popular as Demon Slayer. Talking about the history, you've probably heard about the Kamakura, Muromachi, Edo, Taisho, and early Showa periods of Japan. And if not, you just did. You're welcome. Most anime of this style are highly influenced by the Edo period. In this era, everyone was broke and samurai were common. During this period, a man's only true source of income was his sword. However, Demon Slayer, or Kimetsu no Yaiba, intentionally chose a 15-year period known as the Taisho period. And this period followed the previously mentioned Edo period, and featured a stark contrast in civilizational levels. Basically, this is why Tanjiro is so taken aback by Tokyo's bustling lights and technology. Still, the author made a very clever stylistic choice by setting the show in such a minor era of history. We got to see Japan's history, which was very interesting, especially to nerds like me. Crows being everywhere is normal for Japanese citizens. Why are crows so common in anime? We can see crows in almost every one. Here, the Karasuno crows are Haikyuu's protags. Many anime protags are compared to ravens or crows, and the entire Demon Slayer force communicates with crows. But why? Well, in America, we had carrier pigeons, while in Japan, they had crows. Also, Japanese crows are larger, smarter, and more respected than ours. The Japanese attitude towards crows is more respectful than that of the West. In the West, they're considered pesky, creepy, and annoying. But in Japan, they're more revered and respected for their intelligence. So, Demon Slayer obviously chose to use these avians as their telephone network, simply because these big-brain birds are everywhere. Could you imagine if a handsome man or beautiful woman came up to you in a bar and said, "Here, take my bird number"? It might not be the most effective on the opposite sex, but considering how high my phone bill is, I might have to go out and wrangle a crow for myself. Zenitsu and Tengen's amazing hearing. Some members have special abilities that can make them truly death-defying, and this is quite amazing. One such ability is the super hearing that both Uzui and Zenitsu have. Similar to Tanjiro's superhuman sense of smell, Zenitsu's hearing exceeds human hearing ranges, allowing him to pick up on details such as emotional vibrations. This type of hearing can help reveal a person's personality and, in more dire situations, determine an opponent's strength. Zenitsu's thunder-breathing mastery is unusual, but he's still capable of moving with an awesome speed and intensity. But did you know that there actually are people out there in the real world who can use echolocation like bats? Other people have incredible hearing like Zenitsu, where they can hear a song and play it instantly. And some blind people have reportedly shown to have some kind of echolocation abilities, although it's pretty rare and not on the level of Tengen or Zenitsu. Still, having an echolocation ability while you're blind can be useful. The anime might be a little more accurate though if Tengen and Zenitsu had ridiculously big ears like this, and it would certainly be a lot more entertaining. Sensing when someone is lying by listening to their heart rate. While we're at it, Zenitsu also has another power. He can tell if someone's lying by listening to their heart and breathing rhythm. This is actually legit science and has real-world applications, like when police strap people into polygraph tests to see if they're telling the truth. Polygraphs aren't super accurate, which is why they can't be used in court in the United States anymore, but they're still an effective tool police can use to see if they should look further into a suspect. Polygraphs use things like your heart rate, breathing, and perspiration to determine whether or not you're lying, which basically makes Zenitsu a walking polygraph. Physical training. During their journey to become stronger Demon Slayers, we see the trio do a lot of physical training to strengthen their bodies. It's so funny to me to see a crybaby like Zenitsu with a ripped body. But did you know that if you were to use some of the exercises the Demon Slayer core uses, you could be a ripped crybaby too? Running with weights, pushing boulders, doing weighted push-ups, rope jumping, etc. All of those are amazing exercises to increase strength, muscle mass, and endurance in real life. So if you want to achieve some Inosuke physique, I recommend you start doing these exercises. Keep up with it, and you might get abs like this. The Talismans reference Omnoyo symbols. Have you ever wondered what the Talismans really do? The use of paper talismans like these, for mysticism or magic, is pretty common throughout Asian history. However, in Japan, Onmyoyo is the most prominent example. Practitioners of this art would be known as onmyoji. and they would go around fighting the supernatural with specific rituals and symbols. Of course, their influence can be seen throughout anime, and Demon Slayer is no exception. Yushiro, Tamayo's assistant, employs similar principles and symbology in his Blood Demon arc. We couldn't find any direct symbols taken from Onmyoji texts, but it's clear that the author was referring to Chinese Taoism with this character. Namu Amida Butsu. We see Gyome says Namu Amida Butsu, but do you know the real meaning behind it? The Namu Amida Butsu, or Nembutsu, represents Amida Buddha's great practice, as embodied by the power of his primal vow to save all suffering beings everywhere. True Shin Buddhism has only one practice that Bambu, aka spiritual idiots, do, which is listening deeply. They open their mind and hearts to the Dharma, aspire to Buddhahood, and interact with a Shinjin true teacher. Wisteria flowers have a history in Japan. You've probably noticed that wisteria flowers are all over the place in the series, and really add some beauty to the scenery. Wisteria flowers also play an important role in Demon Slayer. These are the only other things that can harm demons besides their swords, but we couldn't figure out why. After all, they have no connection to the sun. Maybe they're just too pretty for demons to handle. Still, there is a Hanafuda card based on the wisteria, so that's something. They're also known as immortal flowers, because once they're planted, they'll completely take over. I don't know why you'd even want to kill them, but if you did, they'd just keep coming right back. Maybe zombie flowers is a better name. Also, later in the plot, Muzan's storyline becomes heavily linked with a blue spider lily. These flowers are also associated with Japanese history, as they're known as the flowers of death, and are frequently mistaken for flowers that grow near graves. Looking at these things though, they certainly do look magical. Muichiro's ability to fall asleep so he can perform at his best. Muichiro is an extremely powerful and skilled fighter despite his young age. His ability to fall asleep and perform at his best is actually close to a real phenomenon used by world's top athletes. Super athletes take naps during the day to increase their recovery and, by extension, their strength and performance. I think I'm gonna have to tell my boss that I'm a super athlete so we can get some mid-shift nap times. Muscle mice. Do you remember Uzui's muscle mice? I mean, they're kinda hard to forget. These buff mice look like they should be in an Instagram ad selling you a protein shake. Their designs are as amusing as they are adorable, and their appearance is inspired by their master, Uzui. These two mice wear the same headband as Uzui, and as their name implies, have arms and chests that are several times the size of their torso and legs. Turns out though, that mice like these are a real possibility. For some reason, scientists suppressed the protein myostatin in some lab mice. This caused them to gain a bunch of muscle without even training. I wish I could get something like this in the springtime to prepare my buff beach bod. But for now, all I can do is gather my own army of buff mice. I call this one Stone Cold Squeak Austin. Prostitution in the Entertainment District. In Season 2, we get the first glimpse of the Entertainment District. And no, we're not talking about the arcade and movie theater kind of entertainment. It's a place which, according to Tengen, is the #1 spot in Japan that's dripping with lust and desire. A super flashy place. So basically Las Vegas. But this place isn't made up just for the show. In Japan, like in many other countries, the concept of an entertainment district, or red light district, is real. Not only that, because Japanese culture is so hierarchical, the prostitutes were divided into ranks and were based on real terms that are used to distinguish between different types of prostitutes. In the West, we have informal ranks of prostitutes, like escorts, call girls, and streetwalkers, and there's a similar concept in Japan. For example, an oiran is a high-rank prostitute that can choose her clients and eventually maybe marry one of them. As far as being an escort goes, that sounds like a pretty tight gig. Hair changing color because of eating sakura mochi. Does hair really change color after eating sakura mochi? Sakura mochi is a Japanese confection consisting of sweet, pink-colored rice cake with a red bean paste center, wrapped in a pickled cherry blossom leaf. I certainly think it would be great to have my hair turn this awesome shade of pink. Different regions of Japan have different styles of sakura mochi. In Demon Slayer, Rengoku and most of his family have the same yellow hair with red tips. Rengoku believes that his ancestors ate a lot of shrimp tempura. Mitsuri, too, had black hair as a child before it turned pink and green because of eating sakura mochi. Eating a ton of shrimp is actually what makes flamingos pink too. It sounds like a really tasty way to look fabulous. The mystery of Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings. Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings are still a source of contention on the forums. Why? Well, for one, it's a hugely popular anime with a lot of people watching it. And two, we still don't know what the exact story is behind them. They were obviously worn by his ancestor or another Breath of the Sun user, but we don't know what their design refers to or how they were passed down to him. Hanafuda cards are Japanese playing cards that are mostly based on flowers, like these. The pattern on Tanjiro's earrings are apparently flowers as well, even if they do resemble a rising sun, but they don't appear to be a reference to any known Hanafuda card design that we could find. They remain a mystery for now, but I can say that after picking up a pair for myself, I too can slay. Katana were used in ancient Japan. Did you know that katana are swords that were actually used in ancient Japan? They look like these. A Japanese sword with a curved, single-edged blade, a circular or square guard, and a long grip that can accommodate two hands. Katanas are pretty iconic, and since they look really cool, they're still everywhere in pop culture. You've probably seen them plenty of times in games and movies without even realizing it. Kimetsu no Yaiba displays a variety of Nichiren katanas. They're all the signatures of their respective wielders, as well as a point of recognition for fan-favorite characters. These swords were used by samurai in feudal Japan and worn with the edge facing upward. Real-life locations. As anime fans, I think we've all wished at some point that we could visit Japan at least once. The good news is that you can actually visit the areas shown in Demon Slayer in real life. Demon Slayer locations are based on real-life areas of Tokyo, though the story is set during the Taisho period. Among these areas, Asakusa is one of Tokyo's most well-known and popular tourist destinations. The town has many historic buildings and traditional food options. Tanjiro discovers Muzan Kibutsuji for the first time on the symbolic Nakamise shopping street. If you go there though, you might want to stay away from any dapper-looking dudes with weirdly long nails, just to be safe. With this, we've reached the end of the video. If you learned something new, please leave a comment down below. Take care, and we'll see you next time.